15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Talking, from the live podcast produced by Indy Radio, where we break down the mystery, the terror, and the twists of the hit TV series. Hosted by Jen and Kinte, this is the show where we review every shocking moment, every haunting question, and every chilling clue. And from strangers find themselves trapped in a mysterious town they cannot leave, forced to survive against deadly creatures that come out at night, while uncovering the dark secrets hidden all around them. You can watch from on MGM+. Get ready for live reactions, deep discussion, bold theories, and real talk about one of television's most unsettling shows. And now, here are your hosts, Jen and Kinte.
All right, welcome everyone to a new episode of Talking From, where we talk about the hit TV series From on MGM+. I was going to say something smart, like, hey, this is the series where we talk about everything that doesn't make sense and things that don't line up, because we're just waiting for the next episode like everybody else. But I feel like we are counting down to something more consequential at this moment, and I'm really interested to hear what my co-host Kinte has to say, so let's introduce him right away. Kinte, how are you? And welcome to the show.
I am doing great. I am happy to be here and looking forward to talk about this episode called Fray.
And before we start and before we talk about anything that is, all things From, I just have to say a shout out to you for doing such a great job of producing the show, of finding the clips, of doing all of the back end work that is required to have these discussions every week. Not only do I appreciate it, but I bet everybody that's listening really appreciates it, and you should get the kudos that you deserve. So good job. Thank you.
All right. And I love me some kudos.
All right, so let's dive into this episode. So it's okay, I'm tripping over my own tongue. I'm kind of excited about what's going on here. So let's talk first about where the episode opens, and kind of it's a little bit of a recap or a reset. I feel like this moment, this episode is sort of a take a deep breath. Some pretty big things happened, but also it was a bit of a come to Jesus moment. And I am absolutely using that purposefully because of Sophia. But it really is that moment, like everybody has to reconcile what the heck is happening here. And give me your first impressions of just sort of how we open the show. Because I feel like this really sets the tone for what we're about to see.
You're talking about Kenny in the hospital room, right?
Yeah. I mean, we know that Sophia hops outside, and of course, I don't know exactly what that's about. I don't know. That seemed really weird, didn't it to you? Or maybe it didn't to you?
Do you think that she was, or I mean, should we say man in yellow or just refer
to her as Sophia? Well, we should probably say Sophia just so we don't confuse people. But we know that she's the man in yellow.
Oh, okay. Sophia, was she communing with the do the creatures know who that is?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. We don't see the man in yellow or anybody really with the creatures, do we?
No, we don't. that's what I thought maybe she was, or he, or dang, this is so confusing. I thought maybe possibly that she was talking to them, possibly
Oh,
hey, don't worry, I'm I don't know, like
like
I was,
announcing that they are now Sophia. So hey, back off and please don't come after me. That kind of thing.
yeah,
Hmm.
or I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but
That seems just as viable as any other theory I hear.
yeah, like I wonder if it was communing with it,
Yeah, yeah. And then there's this moment where this is just me, and this is maybe I'm being a little bit too like maybe I'm being too suspect, but felt to me like what was happening was Sophia was manipulating Kenny into believing that he is her white knight, and he had to rush out and save her, thereby sort of increasing that bond of protectionism.
Oh, that was, what? That is smart. Yeah.
That I just
Yeah.
I just got that feeling like what else would bring the two of them together more than if he had to kind of save her from the creatures, so to speak. Not, and of course we don't know if the man in yellow sort of has a direct communion, if you will, with the creatures, but I think it's safe to say they probably don't have any interest in him.
Probably not. Whether they know it or not.
Whether they know it or not. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So Kenny brings Sophia into the town. We know that they were going to go glasses shopping at the diner, which is,
So
to
romantic.
me, this that whole scene, before we skip ahead, that whole scene was hilarious because here we have Sophia, aka the man in yellow, touching and looking at all the things left behind by other people that have been in from. And we know for a fact that that the man in yellow absolutely uses all of these discarded things as a way to transform. For whatever reason, the things that have been left behind, the things that are of previous incarnations of the townspeople, we know that he's using some of them to do his transformations. So that felt so purposefully crazy. Like there he is in the middle of, I could be any one of these people and nobody would know.
Yeah. Why do you think that he didn't use Jim instead of the girl?
Okay, so I honestly, I think there is a purposeful point behind that, and that is that it needs to be whoever Sophia is beginning to personify. It needs to be something or someone that everyone will trust.
They didn't
Everyone.
trust Jim, though?
No, no. Jim burned too many bridges and made too many. Jim is too gruff. Also, the other thing is Jim is too close to Julie.
Mm-hmm.
And also too close to Tabitha and too close to Ethan. And we know that Ethan, Tabitha, and Julie have a set part in this story. And I don't think that it would be convincing for Jim. To be Sophia is to be anybody, right? You could pretend anything and be Sophia. You cannot pretend to be Jim if you're not Jim.
Right.
It would be a much harder sell. So I just personally think that would be a bridge too far. Plus, I do think, okay, I know we're going to kind of, if it's okay, is it okay if I just sort of like skip around the episode?
Sure,
again?
go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that I knew immediately when I saw the bag, so they walk into town, Kenny realizes that something happened. He leaves Sophia in Sarah's good care, if that's
That
even
bag
a
right
thing.
there.
That's really not a great thing. Yes, there's the bag. And we see that there's a bag. And the bag is clearly meant to just bring some terror, right? Like it was even from when I first saw it from Boyd's perspective, up at Colony House through the binoculars, it was pretty obvious that it was supposed to be like a terror moment, right?
Mhm.
But my gut feeling said, no, that's probably not Jim. There's something else going on. It's a distraction for something else. And it worked because Tabitha sends Julie and Ethan up to the barn, take Ethan away from here, go look at the animals. And the moment that she opened the bag and saw the animal in there, I knew immediately that that's where they would find Jim. They were going to find him in the barn. Kind of like a life for a life. Like, I don't know how to describe that, but like, this is what was happening. So they get to the barn. Everybody realizes, okay, well, Jim is hung upside down, bleeding, and everybody comes across the words, knowledge comes at a cost. I have to like pause for a moment and get your opinion on something. The idea that knowledge comes at a cost, it feels like this is a lot of mind games, right? Like, I get it. Yeah, we're seeing that there is sort of a quid pro quo thing happening with knowledge. But do you think that this is just more terror games, or do you think that there is an actual, like, a formula happening, like playing out?
Oh, it's definitely terror.
Yeah.
It's that's the main thing, is to get people scared.
So it's really just to keep people from investigating further, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. See, I sort of.
What was that? What was that line about? Oh yeah, knowledge comes at a cost. Yeah.
Okay, because I go back and forth with this, right? I go back and forth with, there is a grand master plan, and no, there's not. It's just sort of a mishmash of, we're just extracting the most terror out of these people that we possibly can. And I mean, part of the reason that I thought that there was this grand master plan is, remember in the very first season when Victor is basically counting the steps to the trees?
Right.
Yeah, it felt like, well, okay, there must be something sort of grid-like and matrixy going on here if that's such a thing that you would know. So I don't know, something fascinating was going on there. All right, so we find out that Jim is dead. I mean, obviously Tabitha did not take it so well. And then from that point forward, we'll get back to the diner in a second, but from that point forward, Jade pulls Boyd aside and gives him sort of the 411 on everything that they know so far. And what is fascinating to me is that Jade has not shared this with Boyd to this point.
Right.
Boyd looks like he doesn't know anything.
Oh, he does?
That is fascinating to me. In fact, if you look at the clip that is up on the screen right now, you see Ellis looking at the image of that is the symbol that Jade couldn't get out of his head, and he kept drawing over and over again, and then saw repeated in that notebook that he found in the diner.
Right.
So, I guess the overarching thing for me is, it's fascinating to me that in a town of so few people, they still manage to keep such huge secrets from each other. I just find that so fascinating.
Yeah, it is funny because, you would think that they have nothing to do, nothing else but time, right? So you would feel like they would share more. But if you think about it, though, Boyd has so much that he has, going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and I'm not convinced that Boyd is not coming unglued as we progress through his story. He definitely seems like he's losing bits and pieces of himself as instead of bringing people together, he is actually dividing people. I don't think he's doing it on purpose, but it's happening nonetheless, which is also very fascinating. So, okay, again, we'll get back to the diner. We're going to get back to Sarah and Sophia. But in the meantime, let's talk about what is sort of our background for the show today. We see Julie. Now, remember, at the end of the last season, it wasn't at the end of the last season, but at the end of an episode that dealt with exactly what happened last season, Ethan tells Julie, you can't change the story. If the story's been told, you can't change it. And this to me felt three things in this episode made me think that, okay, this was the episode to tell us that everything is fixed. Right? The fix is already in. They're not going to be able to change anything. So they are going to have to figure out how to work within what they know, because they're not going to be able to change anything. And we see that with a number of characters that are sort of in the middle of what they're in the middle of in this episode. So we'll start with what happens with Julie. So Julie goes back to the ruins. She grabs Randall, because I think personally that Julie thinks that Randall is the most disconnected person from the town. I don't think that that's true, but I think that that's what Julie thinks. And so because he's the most disconnected, he'll be able to help her as soon as she gets into the ruins and she does her story walking, which she does successfully do. Although that was a very interesting time for her to go back to, don't you think?
Yeah. Because that was
a while ago.
Yeah, that was quite a bit ago. Yeah, it was a great episode too, by the way.
That was a good episode. That was a really good episode. But we know that like Julie doesn't seem to have any control over when or where she shows up in the story. She just seems to be able to walk through the story. So I don't know if part of this is Julie being able to figure out how to get to where she wants to go, and that's a thing, or what. But thank goodness she had Randall there, because Randall did save her, right?
If he had listened to her, she would have been dead.
Yeah. Which, again, this sort of, I don't know. Anyway, I like Randall as a character. I mean, he's gruff and he's mean and he seems so unsympathetic and less than having any kind of compassion, but he's such an interesting character.
It seems like the kind of guy you would date.
No, I don't think so. I'm scared of centipedes, and it kind of looks like he's got a centipede on the side of his head.
Well, I mean, beyond that,
Yeah, I know exactly what you were talking about. Okay, so Randall saves Julie from the ruins while she's story walking, she's attacked by our friendly neighborhood waitress, and the interesting thing to me is that the creatures definitely don't seem to react to Julie in a way that is different. Mm-hmm. Like it felt to me like if they could have killed her, they would have. I wonder what that means for the overall story. But also, before
do you think they have a directive that some people they're not supposed to kill?
That's a good question, and I just don't know. Other than the man in yellow, I don't think so. I think anybody is sort of, because, okay, the reason that I think this is because the nature of the town is cyclical, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that the same cycle is happening every single time. It means they can get further into the cycle depending upon who the people are that gather. They could get further into the cycle. They could answer further questions. They could get further to find answers. But typically what seems to happen is something thwarts that ability each time. So somebody dies. Maybe it's the Jade and Tabitha connection that doesn't work, or maybe it's Jade dies before and then Tabitha's left or whatever. Something always seems to thwart them from getting all the information that they need.
Do you think it's like one of those Groundhog Day stories, like where how like there's a lot of movies and TV shows that have it where it'll repeat. I forgot what they call it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But then there's always something that they do that makes it stops the cycle. So do you think that maybe we're watching the time that the cycles, like whatever happens that stops the cycle? Like they're showing us the one where they successfully are able to end the cycle.
I mean, ultimately, I think that's going to depend on what happens in the last season of this show. But
I'm asking you to.
Ultimately, I think that's what we were supposed to be headed for. I think we were supposed to be headed for, hey, this is the furthest that we've ever gotten. And whether or not it plays through again, because this is something that has happened with these quote unquote demons or the witch or whatever that they made the deal with, that that seems like that could be a separate question. Like maybe there's a ton of from towns, like maybe there's many of them because this deal was played out many times. That seems like that could be possible. But in this one town with these people and the sacrifices that they made, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's kind of like a Groundhog's Day. Like this is the quintessential, okay, before we're going to try to get to the end of this to show you what happens when there's a resolution. And then if this is the case, then my guess would be at the last episode, sort of at the very end, we would see that, oh, you know what, there's actually more towns just like this. And those people are also going through the same kinds of things that our people are going through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And I think Groundhog's Day is kind of a good way to explain some of the really weird stuff that keeps happening over and over again, because I mean, one, we know it's a cycle, but two, we also know that they don't seem to be able to break the cycle. And so it again, I just think that I think the one thing that has saved them so far is Victor. Victor seems to be the answer to something. I don't know what, and I don't know why, but definitely he seems to be something. Also, if I could just sort of elaborate on something that we were talking before about, and give me what you think about this. And this is a little bit more existential in terms of its scope, but I think that we are watching a story unfold, okay, and it's got a lot of lore written into it, but that lore is not necessarily verbatim lore. Like in my heart of hearts, I think we're watching a kind of a kind of eldritch or Lovecraftian sort of story, guided, I'll say, by Lovecraftian or eldritchy sort of story principles. And I think that the monsters and the gods pull some definition, some lore from that. I don't necessarily think that that's for us.
I think that's one of the titles, isn't it, of a future episode?
What?
It's like of gods and monsters or something like that.
That might be. But but the idea, for me, the idea is, if that's the truth and if that's what we are witnessing, then the big the big reveals for us will not be the eldritchy and Lovecraftian gods or monsters that are pulling the strings. It's the resolution of the town. So, I mean, it's kind of like telling a story on multi-granular levels, but one level the audience actually isn't ever supposed to really be a witness to, even if they experience it in trope and some form that feels familiar. They're supposed to be concentrating on just the people and the story arcs of the characters and the drama of the town at large. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to explain this in a way that isn't such a deep dive into the craft of storytelling, but also sort of explain that there are parallel stories going on here, but one we're not really supposed to be a part of, the other we are supposed to be a part of. Does that make sense?
No, it makes great sense. Yeah, it's excuse me, I was a little away from the mic. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that it lives up to what we hope it's going to be. Like, not necessarily something specific that we want it to be, but that it's something that makes us feel like those 5 seasons was worth it. And I'm hoping, there's times where I believe that we're going to be served. And there's other times I'm thinking like, I think a lot of people will ultimately be disappointed. Because I don't think it's going to be what people want it to be. That makes sense.
I certainly don't think, and I've spent a fair amount of time looking into what other people are saying about this show, and they're very smart people. They've got a lot. They clearly have a lot of mental capacity to absorb and sort of push out a lot of theories, which I find fascinating. But ultimately, I don't think. I think that by looking at the conspiracy theory, if you will, of the story, we would be missing the forest for the trees. Because I don't think that that's ultimately what we are not supposed to be. And I mean, this is very, it's meta, but it's important to understand. We are not supposed to be storytellers from the gods, right? Mm-hmm. We look at the gods, and I mean, this is just from a storytelling standpoint, but we look at the gods and the gods feed us stories. We get stories from the gods. That's the way that the tropes work. So we're not actually supposed to find out all of these like either Lovecraftian or eldritchy sort of ideas. We're just supposed to understand them because this is a part of our storytelling culture. We exist in this realm. And that's sort of where I think From comes from. We're not supposed to get a big reveal at the end of the next season that this was all puppet masters from some ancient eldritchy gods or something. We're supposed to understand that that's the feel of it because that's just our storytelling. But our resolution ultimately will be our band of characters, and either they will make it out of the town or the town resets.
Do you think the term knowledge comes at a cost? Is aimed at the viewers as well?
I do, actually. I thought that immediately. When I saw it in the trailer, it felt like, oh, yeah. See, and also, and I feel like this is sort of, if we could talk about Jade for a second, this is sort of where I'm seeing Jade change a lot. Like, it's breathtaking. Jade is no longer the pompous person of I know things and you don't. He is so much more awed by what he doesn't know. He's awed by the fact that he can't figure it out. And that to me is that's a huge character breakthrough, but it also, I think, kind of signals how easily the town breaks people, how it can easily change everything about you. And all of a sudden, the person that you were isn't necessarily the person that you are as you move forward, especially in quote unquote knowledge. Like, you have to change. I'll give you a good example. Sarah is fundamentally the same character that she was at the beginning, although Sarah has some sort of special knowledge because, she got the writing, she heard the voices. I think she knows a little bit. She went on the walkabout with Boyd and the spiders and all that fun stuff, right? But she hasn't changed really. Nothing has touched her in a way that has changed her character dramatically. But if you look at Tabitha, and if you look at Jade, and if you look at Julie, and if you look at Ethan, and you look at Victor, they are all very different people, very different characters than they were even from last season to this season. You can definitely see that there is a huge shift. Now, whether we as the audience are supposed to understand that I think is where all this murkiness comes in. If we aren't supposed to know what is going to happen and we just keep making all these grand theories, that knowledge comes at a cost means, hey, you know what? You're going to be really upset when we reveal to you that this isn't what you think it is. That could well be. That could well be.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Sarah in the diner. So Sarah goes to Acosta and she says, "Hey, are you okay?" And Acosta's immediate reaction is, "I'm not your friend. Get away from me. I don't want. I'm not your friend." So I don't really know exactly what's happening with Acosta, except that in that next scene where she hops into the ambulance and she's racing around, like thinking that she's going to find a way out, she is doing sort of the same thing that a lot of the characters in this episode are doing, which is basically coming to the realization that there is no way out, right? Like, I feel like Acosta is running on the same purpose, that is running on the same principle that Boyd ran on when he first arrived in the town, which is there's got to be a way to keep everybody safe. There's got to be a way to get out of here. Do you know what I mean? Like, she is paralleling what it is that Boyd first thought when he first came to the town. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you think about it, you have to, in your mind, you have to be thinking there's got to be something that can be done. Like, you don't want to just give up, and say that all hope is lost. You know what I mean? So I can understand why she would do that. I mean, it seems natural. Some people seem to accept it and just, try to deal. Whereas if you think about the kind of person she would have to be a police officer, I just don't believe that she would just all of a sudden just give up like that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think it actually says a lot about her character for sure. But I also think that there's a reason that Acosta is sort of experiencing the town backwards. Like, first you realize there's no way out. Then you realize that there are terrible things. Then you realize that you have to have a place in helping keep everyone safe. And with Acosta is exactly the opposite. She starts, I have to keep everybody safe, including those people in the ambulance. I realize, oh my God, there are terrible, horrible things happening. And then she comes to the realization that, oh, okay, yeah, there actually is no way out. We've been around the town 4 or 5 times and it's not happening. But the main thing that really struck me in this ambulance scene is that she left Ethan. She left him. that doesn't speak to, oh, wait a minute, my first job is to serve and protect. That
Well,
speaks to a person who is slowly losing their sanity because they feel like they're the ones that can solve the, we can definitely get out of here.
maybe I'm a bad person because part of me was like, he'll be all right.
Well, we've seen Ethan get out of tougher scrapes, that's for sure. But just as a person, I can't imagine. I just can't. Knowing that his dad just died, I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to just let it go. I wouldn't.
Well,
and the idea that she just said he'll be fine is, to me, just like, what? No. You were just ready to stick up for Elgin and murder Boyd. What is happening here? That felt really jarring, very jarring. And maybe I wouldn't, not saying that it's not purposeful. I'm just saying it was extremely jarring to see that happen.
Yeah.
I love the idea that they always employ the spike strips as sort of like their last resort to keeping people from basically like racing through the town over and over and over again.
Yeah. But and also though, how are they gonna fix the tires?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have no practical understanding of how they keep this town running. Just none.
Yeah, and where do they get the gas from?
Well, the gas, they say that they keep siphoning the gas. That's one of the reasons that they do the spike strips, is to basically preserve as much gas as they can, so that when people come into the town, they can siphon the gas and that kind of thing.
Right. So convenient. But I guess they're not going that far, so
they're not. We saw exactly how far they can go. It's like it's less than a minute round trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not going anywhere. I have to ask that not the last, but the scene that we're going to talk about Tabitha in a second, but the scene with Victor and his dad.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think about that?
Oh, I thought it was great because one thing is I don't think we had much Victor up until that point. I know the season just started, but he's such an important part of the story. And I like that how his father reaffirmed that he's happy that he's there because he gets to spend, time with his son, Right. And I thought it was a great scene, and I thought, I feel like there's going to be a big Victor episode.
Yeah.
At some point, that really advances the story and really focuses on him. But that's just my gut. I haven't heard anything. So, but I just thought that was pretty cool.
I wonder sometimes if Victor's role in the story is not a lot bigger than we think it is.
Oh, it has to be.
There's a part of me though that just feels like, man, I don't know. That one's really tough. I mean, as much as I think Victor is sort of like, the records keeper for the town, I don't know. The other thing that always drives me crazy about Victor is, other than Tabitha, he's the only person really that has seen the boy in white. Well, okay, and Ethan. But the boy in white doesn't appear to everybody, but he does appear to Victor a lot, which does sort of feel weird. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. But, but then again, though, he was a boy there. I think only him and Ethan were boys there. So maybe that's something
that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
But do I feel like we are moving on assumptions that might seem logical, but nothing in From feels logical. It feels cyclical, but it doesn't feel logical. So whatever seems to happen doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel like that's actually what we should rely on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree.
I was speaking to somebody, and I would love to get your opinion on this because I know that you were the sort of quintessential Lost fan.
Oh, big time.
I was talking to somebody about the similarities between this show and Lost and how it felt to me like Lost had been trying to do some of the things that From has succeeded in doing, but they just couldn't quite get it right. I don't know why, but it just didn't quite work. It didn't land as well as it's landing in From. I was wondering what you thought about that.
No, I don't agree. I think Lost was a far superior show, and I love Lost. I think Lost was a great show, and I love From as well. But I think the thing that From has an advantage of is that having shorter seasons, they can tell a tighter story. Whereas Lost, the first 3 seasons were 20 something episodes.
Yeah.
So they had to do a lot of filler and stretch the story out. So I think both shows I felt like when they condensed the seasons in the latter seasons, then they told a much more streamlined story. But there's a lot of similarities. They're basically both trapped on the island of sorts where there's others that are there, and that there's a particular character who seems to be really at one with the place, in a way that others are not. And I mean, it is a lot of very similar stuff, but I mean, but they're both their own show. So, but yeah, I would say that I've, Jack Bender too, who's the director, was the main director on Lost as well.
And we also know that John is also a story creator. So all of that stuff all sort of lines up together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I guess.
And it feels like they're in purgatory.
There's yeah. See, no, I don't think that's what's happening here.
I don't think so either. But
I've heard a lot of people say that. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, and then they woke up," and that seems like
no, I don't think
that's what's happening.
Do you think it's otherworldly, or do you think it's some sort of a human thing?
What do you mean?
Like what they're going through? Because I know there's some people who believe that they're in some kind of government thing.
Oh. And
then there's other people who believe that it's otherworldly, what's going on.
No, I am firmly in this is under the purview of some kind of eldritch story. So definitely supernatural. Something that has a very supernatural bent. I think in the very beginning, it was really hard for us to tell because we just didn't have enough information to make any good choices. But we are now at the point where why would Julie be able to time travel?
What if you found out that they're all connected to some kind of machine and that
there was a movie like that.
Matrix.
Or maybe it was a series. Maybe it was a series. It was the 18 something. Where that basically was the premise. They were on this boat. They were all constantly being shown clues, but they couldn't really make sense of them. And it was all, in the end, it was revealed that they were all hooked up to this machine. And that's what that was. I don't think that's where we're headed here, though.
No, but I'm saying, what if it was? Would you be pissed off?
Oh, yeah, I would. Because I think that's sort of cheap.
What if it's a VR video game and that they're just a bunch of gamers and they're playing a game called From?
That's even cheaper. If they did that, I'm quitting. I'm sorry.
And then it's like a big ad for like PlayStation VR.
Man, that would be terrible. No, let's not go there.
Like the ending would be like they lose or whatever, and the guy who's Boyd is like, oh man, that was fun, and he's like, and then he's actually playing. It's some white guy playing as Harold Perrineau, like, it's like, oh wow,
To me, that's no better than They Woke Up.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah.
let's hope that isn't the way it goes.
No, I don't think so either. But I just wanted to put something out there that would be terrible.
Although I do think that we have not figured out, and I don't know what the we have not figured out piece is, but we have not figured out at all what that, although we understand that the sacrifice was made and that it gave immortality to the monsters. And, again, I had my own theory about that it was kind of like, the sort of djinn tricking you that you'll have immortality, but nobody said it was going to be immortality as a monster forever and ever.
Wait, you are tricking people?
No, Jen, not Jen.
Oh, Jen. I thought you said Jen.
Like a genie.
I know, I'm being silly.
But
one thing I have to say though that they got really fortunate with.
What's that?
Is that the actor who plays Ethan?
Yeah.
Because this ain't supposed to be that big of a time jump, right?
Right.
That he doesn't look that. He's gotten bigger, but not really that much. So you know what I'm saying? Like they got really lucky that he's at that age where he doesn't look like he's aged that much. So it actually, you know what I mean? Like it's not like he had this big growth spurt where he looks like a man now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, to be fair, I think I think they do a really good job of sort of de-aging him, making him look younger. Like they really do a good job, and I think that they do a really good job.
He actually looks older.
Yeah, I think he does look a little bit older.
He doesn't look like it on the show. He looks
like
he hasn't aged that much.
Yeah, he definitely looks he still looks very young. But there's but I was just going to say that like they do something similar with Victor, where if you've seen Victor as the actor, he does not look like Victor.
No, he doesn't at all. It's really unflattering the way he looks on the show.
Yeah.
Like when I saw how he actually looks, I'm like, oh wow! Like he looks like a guy that would he probably gets a lot of women. The guy on the show ain't no woman trying to hook up with him.
I mean, good for him that he was willing to take on this role, because I can't imagine this role has got to have been a really tough role for an actor to play as Victor. Just being an outcast, being the way that he is. It's just got to be like such a difficult mindset to get into.
Yeah. And shout out to the cast. I've been trying to book cast members on the show, it seems like I'm always too late from when they do their availability. It seems like a lot of them weren't doing much press for this season, or very little press than other seasons.
I have seen them all over on social media, though.
But I haven't seen them doing interviews really. Like last season, it seemed like they did more press than they are doing this season.
Well,
like Parano was on a bunch of stuff beginning of last year.
And he has been on a bunch of I don't know what the word is, but like, very social media friendly podcasts. And also so has the actor or actress, I'm sorry, that plays Julie. She has also been on a bunch. But the others seem to be putting out their own social media for From and not actually engaging with with like not doing actual interviews. So
yeah, I don't know, sucks. Like people out there, please, we're probably one of the first From podcasts, if not the first From podcast, because we started it way before people caught on. Now there's a ton of them, but we were kind of like the first one. So it'd be great to get somebody from the show, and a director, a writer, one of the actors.
And truly and honestly, our theories really bear that out, because we had some really crazy theories when this show first started, and they were crazy.
Yeah. So please, if you guys are listening out there, somebody come on and chat with us.
Yeah, please.
I don't bite. I can't speak for Jen, but I don't bite.
Definitely not. So okay, so the episode sort of comes to a close on, I would say, a very somber note. I do want to just sort of recap a little bit about what Tabitha is going through at the moment, because all that scene in the church with Tabitha and Jim felt, oh man, that was a really hard scene to watch, because you can really see that she is trying. Oh, also we have to talk about Ethan finding Jim in sort of like an odd story walking moment that I don't even know how to explain. But let's talk about Tabitha and Jim in the church scene first, where obviously he's in the church. They're going to need to bury him, and she comes in and she does a bit of a monologue with him about sort of like with all the things that she couldn't say while he was alive. What did you think about that?
Oh, I thought it was pretty great. First of all, I think that her acting is always been great, but definitely in this scene, she like kills it. I think that whole scene was very well done, and also it was good to have happen. It's so funny that they had Jim on the show. Like, you knew he had to be alive in some form or fashion, because they needed him to play a dead body, right? So to have him come on and not just play a dead body,
Right.
was pretty good. But yeah, going back to that scene, it's just, I think that it was very well done, very well acted, and Jim's dead body acting is phenomenal.
I feel I felt very sad for Tabitha, and this is like one of those. It's always a quintessential moment of, you never really know what you have until it's lost.
Right.
And that felt just like that exactly, but with your heart exploding. And the idea that now, she has to raise two children in this really crazy place and somehow protect them. It feels like a lot. That feels like a lot.
Well, she has a new man, according to what's happened in the past.
See, it's funny because she actually, in this episode, she 100% gives Jade the absolute, tongue backlashing while they're in the barn. And she's like, get out of here. I don't want to hear anything that you have to say. What's
Yeah,
funny
she's saying
to
that
me,
now, but something's gonna turn.
well, what I think is funny to me is that and this is why her saying this in the backdrop of the words "knowledge comes at a cost" felt very purposeful and pivotal in the role that it took, because she was chasing down leads long before anybody else was. She went to the lighthouse. She got pushed out of the lighthouse, but she was there. She has been trying to uncover this mystery for longer than pretty much anybody else. And the fact that it was Jade that just figured out the musical notes does not mean, like, I felt like she was lashing out at Jade because she feels a sense of guilt herself, that she has been trying to uncover all these answers and now she doesn't want to know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think that Jade is an upgrade from Jim? Because isn't he like a billionaire?
No, I don't think he is, actually. Although, I don't know.
No, he was like super rich for sure.
Yeah, but he's not. I don't know. I just, I'm sure the
So if they hook up and then somehow they're back in, go back to normal life, then she's gonna be rich.
One of the reasons I don't like Jade is because Jade's personality is that giant egocentric person that everybody knows one, who one, and this is why I'm saying that the character development for Jade has really just sort of like it reached a fork in the road and it went way away from where I thought it was going. But he fundamentally all the way up until this point has always been sort of this like I can do no wrong. This is everybody else's responsibility and not mine. When I do get involved, I'll get involved on my own terms. Nobody else but me can figure out the little things that need. Whereas Jim was way more of a social architect, like, hey, everybody, let's do this thing. Let's build the tower at Colony House. Let's try to figure out what we can together. And Jade is much more of a, no, I don't need people. I don't need anybody. But now, again, there's an arc in here, and Jade is definitely come around to, well, yeah, you know what? I actually do need people. And this is way bigger than I can handle myself. Which I think Jade's been humbled in a way that nothing else could have humbled him.
No, I agree with you. I was really just kidding, but yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
I think I can speak for us all when I say we will all miss Jim, whether you liked him or whether you didn't like him. His presence in the story was a big presence, so he will be missed. I don't see anybody stepping up to take that position or take that role. I think from here on out, and I feel like this was kind of like a transition episode. I think from here on out, it's sort of like the game is afoot. Mostly because of obviously Sophia, but I really think that, yeah, that's where things are going to go at this point. But I also, this is just me personally. This is just like, what I'm thinking. I also think that there is a good chance that the people in the town could really thwart the man in yellow, aka Sophia, because we've seen them surprise each other by working together as a community before. They got through the drought or the famine. They got through, they've gotten through a lot of stuff by working together as a team. And that's something that Boyd has done, sort of. He's filled that gap. But I think that it is possible that they could thwart Sophia's efforts, and that could eventually be, what brings down whatever cataclysm is going to happen, that, okay, the town is going to try to reset itself. Even though I don't know if that's actually going to work. And maybe that's where we're headed. I'm not sure. That's just my theory. So let's just talk real briefly about Ethan finding Jim. What did you think of that? And what do you think that meant?
I think that this was something that he needed so that he could, I don't want to say move on, but I feel like it was something that his character needed to have happen, I don't believe, how like the town will show you things that are not really what it is. I don't know. I feel like that was a real thing. I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
No, I think it's very possible that this is.
And what do you think about him bringing up Thomas again?
Well, I think that's a recurring theme. I think this is something that is a continual recurring thing. It could very well be, because we know that from deals on a very granular level with this theory of grief, right? Grief is one of the overriding emotions that happen in this town. It powers everything. It causes Boyd. We haven't seen Father Cautry this season yet either, but it powers Boyd to see Father Cautry because he feels this overwhelming sense of grief. And the same thing, I think, for it could very well be that is the same mechanism, or the same mechanism by which Ethan saw Jim. It's just a manifestation of his grief. It is, it wasn't actually tangible, but it was important. But the thing that makes me wonder whether this was real or not real, is Jim telling Ethan, find the Lake of Tears.
Right.
So, your guess is as good as mine on whether or not that has some kind of tangible outcome or not. But it does feel like this is what will set Ethan on a new quest, on a quest to figure something out.
Do you like Ethan as a character?
I do. I think I like Ethan as a character, but I wish that he was a little bit more developed. Like he had a little bit more depth. But overall, I mean, just as a storytelling device, I absolutely think he's essential.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about Ethan. That's why when he was walking, I was just kind of like, he'll be all right.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
know, I know I'm
it.
a bad person, but whatever.
I think one of the things that From excels at is when it does character development, it does it well. When it does character story arcs, it does it well. But every now and again, we definitely have episodes where there really isn't a lot of strong character drama or character changes where the arcs start to, it matters what they're thinking and what they're doing. And I guess I would go back to the way I was describing the first episode. It was a tell don't show episode, and in this episode I still feel like we are in the tell don't show. We aren't seeing as much as we maybe would, and also at the same time we're not getting a ton of strong character development. But I think that these, like most things in transitions, these are really important moments that need to sort of get out of the way in order for the story to continue to progress. Like there's no way you have to completely crush Acosta's ability to think that there's a way out of the town before that can be a reality to her. You absolutely have to somehow connect Ethan to whatever the Lake of Tears is, if that's actually what's going to be the next quest and journey. And maybe that's what brings Victor in. And on top of that, you also really have to at least cinch slightly this connection that Jade and Tabitha have so that the story can continue to progress. And that had to, I think, sort of sadly be the death of Jim. So I don't know. There's a lot sort of going on, but I'm really hoping that our future episodes are a little bit more of the show episodes and not the tell episodes, because we need more of that.
Yeah, we don't need the man in yellow giving a monologue of what what is going to happen. What
it's
happened
true.
And all of that. That was bad. That was bad. I'm sorry, that was bad. But
it was a little heavy-handed. It was like heavy-handed toward the audience. Like, well, just in case you don't get it.
Yeah, but it felt like that might have been a studio note.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's what it was. I'll let him off the hook. Before we go, we got to talk about this a little bit.
Right.
So basically, Boyd says that he comes up with a cover story.
Which really feels like ridiculous. Like you didn't even give him any specifics, buddy.
Right. And it was said that Elgin says, the truth is going to come out, because it always does. Right. And he kind of threatens him, by saying that you better make sure it doesn't. And we know the truth is going to come out. So just real quick, when this truth eventually does come out, how do you think that's going to be the when people just turn on Boyd?
So I think that's part of the setup. It is part of the setup, but I also think that that much like high pressured water can crack concrete. Mm-hmm. That's what we're looking at. So we are not looking at any one individual person bringing down the town. We are looking at the water via Sophia, aka the man in yellow, being that high pressure water to sort of separate. And because you can't think for even a single second that Sophia is not going to at some point either have a conversation with Elgin or Elgin is going to have some interaction with Sophia. I think that's 100% going to happen, because this deep secret is the secret that, if everybody knew, one, there would be a lot more hopeless despair, but two, it would really undermine Boyd's position as being, hey, you know what? I'm the trusted leader.
Right.
So, yeah. And I thought it was kind of funny that he just kicks the bag underneath the bed. Like, Boyd, come on. You were in the army. You know how to hide evidence better than that. Good Lord.
Right. Yeah,
that's definitely going to come back and bite you in the butt.
Big time. All right. So how can, well, let me start. You can get me at Kinte F on Twitter, or you can get me at kintefergerson. That's KinteFergerson. And that is on Instagram. How can people get you?
First, let me just say thank you for joining us on this amazing episode. I do feel like Fray was a great episode. We just really need a little bit more, guys. Give us a little bit more. And I hope that you'll join us for the next episode, which I do think is actually going to be quite revealing, based on some of the things that I'm seeing coming out. You can find me on really no social media, but I am relaunching my website, moviesandmeals.com. So look for me over at moviesandmeals.com, and hopefully we will see you over there. And also, we should definitely, Kinte, just mention what's coming up this week on our pilot season cartoon edition.
Oh, yeah. This week, Wednesday, check out our second episode of our new show, Pilot Season Cartoon Edition, where we take a look at the first episodes of classic cartoon series. And last week on our first episode, we took a look at He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the 1980 something or other version. This week, we'll be looking at the series, the 80s series Robotech, as well as we're putting out 2 episodes Wednesday. And we're also going to be looking at Afro Samurai as well, the first episodes of both. So please check those episodes out. And pretty soon we'll be back with the regular pilot season, where we take a look at sitcoms and dramas, as well as horror flicks and chill. We'll be
Joshua Rokeson.
Sorry about that. As well. So with all that said, we will catch you next week with an all-new episode of Talking From.
Sounds great. See you then.
Thank you for listening to Season 4 of Talking From. Join us next time as we dive into Episode 3, Merrily We Go. In this next chapter, Boyd tries to save Acosta from herself as Julie digs deeper into her newfound abilities. Tabitha embarks on a desperate gamble, and Victor joins Ethan in a quest for answers. It sounds like another tense and revealing episode as the mystery keeps pulling everyone deeper into the darkness. Episode 3 is scheduled for May 3, 2026. Until then, keep your eyes open, keep your theories ready, and keep watching the signs. Presented by Indy Radio.